Hello guys, so let us discuss about the investment banking cohort, right? Exactly what is this all about? And now we are starting with the new batches of this investment banking program as well. So this PDF will be shared with you. I won't be discussing much more about the vision and the mission of motivational monetary funds. ये benefits आप पढ़ सकते हैं, आपकी components भी पढ़ सकते हैं. But mainly if I come to the investment banking cohort, which is a complete 9 months training program on investment banking. Correct. So let us try to understand that what exactly we shall be covering up in those live sessions. So the sessions are available both in the recorded mode and the live lecture, as we had in the before prior batches as well. So this should be our 30th batch that we are starting, right, with the investment banking cohort. Our previous batches are about to end, and the new batches will start now, right? So if I just talk about the basics of the curriculum, so broadly on a very broader parameter, so we are trying to cover fundamental analysis, financial modeling and valuation, scientific analysis, portfolio management, advanced Excel, and placement interview training. So basically 6 पैरामीटर्स के आसपास जिनके आसपास एक कोर्स रिवॉल्व करता है. फंडामेंटल एनालिसिस, फाइनेंशियल मॉडलिंग एंड वैल्यूएशन, साइंटिफिक एनालिसिस, पोर्टफोलियो मैनेजमेंट, एडवांस एक्सेल में ही यू हैव टैबल्यू एंड पावर बीआई, सीक्वल, पावर क्वेरी, प्लेसमेंट इंटरव्यू ट्रेनिंग. So we'll go step by step, and here we'll try to understand that what exactly we shall learn in each of these components. So if I just go down and try to make you understand fundamental analysis. So what exactly is fundamental analysis? So when we talk about fundamental analysis, it tends to teach us that how we try to test a company or evaluate a company based upon certain fundamental parameters, based upon trying to read the company's annual report, further trying to talk about the balance sheet or the position statement, the profit and loss statement, right? Or the income statement, cash flow statement, statement of equities, notes to accounts, trying to analyze the whole structure of the company or the whole fundamentals of the company. So इसमें हम सीखते हैं that how to analyze the company's annual report in nutshell from A to Z. Each and every page, each and every parameter and connotation that we need to understand. So ये सब आ जाता है in the annual report analysis में. Further, we try to understand about the management discussion analysis section. Further, we try to understand about the CSR responsibility section. We try to understand the auditor report section, qualified opinion, unqualified opinion, modified opinion, disclaimer of opinion, and different types of reports which the auditors tend to publish for a specific company. So all these things we try to understand. Further, we try to deep dive into the financial statements, understanding the linkages of the financial statements, the profit and loss, balance sheet, cash flow statement, statement of equities, notes to accounts. Because usually क्या होता है, we just talk about the three major statements, the profit and loss statement, balance sheet, and the cash flow statement. But we also need to understand the statement of equities and notes to accounts. Again, these two statements additionally, apart from the first three, are also critically important. सो इन तीनों स्टेटमेंट्स को, इन पांचों स्टेटमेंट्स को समझना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. We need to understand the linkages between the statements. How is a P&L linked to a balance sheet or a cash flow statement or a statement of equities? How to establish interlinkages? How to identify the red flags in these statements? So when we try to understand these statements, हम P&L से स्टार्ट करेंगे. P&L के हम सारे लाइन आइटम्स को समझेंगे कॉन्सेप्चुअली. एक एक लाइन आइटम को हम कॉन्सेप्चुअली समझेंगे एंड विल ट्राई टू एस्टैब्लिश अ लिंक विद द बैलेंस शीट, the cash flow statement, statement of equities, and why notes to accounts. We'll try to understand one of the most important section of the P&L, that is the other comprehensive income. We'll try to understand the non-recurring items, extraordinary items. All these things we'll try to understand and how these get impacted and how these values get transmission to the statement of equities. How to prepare the profit and loss statement, how to analyze, interpret, and communicate the results of all these five financial statements. Then we'll try to understand balance sheet का asset sides side को हम समझेंगे. We'll try to understand the liability component of the balance sheet. We'll try to understand two major important components in which the students have a lot of confusion, and even the working professionals also have a lot of confusion in trying to understand those two parameters or those two metrics: deferred tax assets and deferred tax liabilities. We'll try to understand the concept of outstanding tax, advanced tax, how to calculate tax, where different accounting standards for publicly companies, listed companies, unlisted companies, all these parameters we'll try to understand. Then हम balance sheet को अच्छे से समझेंगे. Then we'll try to understand the cash flow statement. right? Statement of operating cash flows, cash flow from the operating activities, cash flow from the investment activities, and cash flow from the financing activities. So all these things we'll try to understand, and then statement of equities and notes to accounts. So all these things will complete your annual report, right? So we'll be reading multiple annual reports from different sectors. We won't just be keeping ourselves limited to just one sector or one company. We'll be reading practical annual reports of real estate companies, of the listed companies. We'll try to understand the DRHPs also of the unlisted companies also, right? We'll try to understand the private equity and the VC world as well as we read along the annual reports. Shareholding patterns, pledging, promoter holding, all these kind of complicated scenarios. How do companies account for gratuity or pension fund? All these calculations which seem to be complex in terms of calculation of further contingent claims and different things जो notes to account में दी होती हैं and जो चीज़ें हमको समझ नहीं आती, we'll try to understand that from a global parameter. So this will not just this course or this curriculum or this program will not just be limited to Indian companies. We shall be working upon the global economies. We shall be doing research. We shall be trying to understand the annual report of the Indian companies, US companies, European companies, Chinese companies, Korean companies, Taiwanese companies, Japanese companies. So both developed markets and developing markets, emerging markets per se, shall be a part of the curriculum. Because the major agenda क्या है इस curriculum का to make you understand as a global professional, to make you as a global professional. Because whenever a job comes in a multinational corporation, be it a kind of asset management company or investment banking firm, it won't be limited to Indian research or Indian analysis or tools to work upon. It can be something where you have to work upon the global set of companies or a particular company which not be Indian, right? So just to make you understand things from a global perspective. So यहाँ पे it is more of reading, analyzing, interpreting the annual report of the company from a CA CFA perspective. How a C or a CFA tries to understand the annual reports, prepares the annual reports, understand and communicates the results of the annual report to clients, to third parties, to companies, management professionals. From that lens, we'll try to understand those reports. Understanding the financial statements in detail, then comes the 100 plus financial ratios for every sector. Now, these won't be limited to those 26 or 30 ratios, those 26 to 30 basic ratios that we tend to study during our BCom, BBA days, or MBA days. You shall be learning more than 100 plus financial ratios. Let me know one thing. When you go to moneycontrol.com, you find about a specific company, you find other set of ratios also which are not a part of your books. For example, the difference between basic EPS and diluted EPS. Whenever we are calculating the book value per share, right? One includes the revaluation reserve and the other one excludes the revaluation reserve. What exactly is the difference between the two? So all such sort of metrics, sales to capital ratio, all these things we'll try to understand with practical examples from both hypothetical and real companies. So 100 plus financial ratios from every sector, be it BFSI, be it consumer, be it telecom, be it capital goods, be it hospitals, be it FMCG, because different sectors have different financial ratios. So, for example, if I talk about the BFSI space, the normal traditional ratios which are used in the traditional companies cannot be applied to the BFSI space because, for example, if I take the example of the banking sector, be it the private sector banks or the public sector banks, we have a specific set of ratios being used for such type of companies, be it in terms of the capital adequacy ratio, the loan to value ratio, provision coverage ratio, right? NIMS, the credit to deposit, for example, right? In case of insurance, you tend to use certain metrics as the VNB margin, as the annualized premium equivalent. You use something called as the embedded value, equity value, persistency ratio, combined ratio. All such different parameters are being used, right? And similarly for the NBFC companies, nowadays we have the fintech companies also. So we need to know the different financial ratios for different sectors which pertain to those specific sectors only or those specific companies only. And that broadens our horizon, that helps us to open our eyes and ears and to make us understand how we can evaluate the different sectors based upon sector specific financial ratios. Then we'll try to understand all about the global stock markets because we're keeping our lens, we're trying to analyze markets from a global lens, right? So that is a purview. We shall be helping you understand the global markets from a conceptual perspective, how to compare the global markets. We'll try to understand different macro indicators, right, which works globally, how the macro indicators affect the global economy or a particular economy of our study. And ultimately, those macro factors tend to impact the company's micros or company's internal factors which can be controlled by the company, starting from GDP, PMI, IIP, the currency, the current account deficit or surplus, fiscal account deficit. All these factors we'll try to understand, right? For the global markets per se. Then we'll try to understand some basic concepts like a rights issue, a bonus issue, a stock split, a reverse stock split, buyback, and much more from a practical perspective by giving you examples of practical companies that did such things in the past. Then the most important component and the most interesting component that comes into place for which you shall be joining the curriculum or for which the students have joined the curriculum in the past is valuation. So here comes the valuation and financial modeling. So financial modeling and valuation is something where everybody wants to build up a career who is interested into finance, right? I tend to see multiple people posting their equity research reports on LinkedIn, right? Because ultimately everybody wants a job into such profiles. So we're trying to understand how to prepare a valuation model, how to prepare a financial Excel valuation model, and then convert that into an equity research report on a PDF document. Fundamentals and technicals combined. So we'll try to understand how to create the financial model for all different type of companies from every sector, and including the BFSI space. The way the financial modeling and valuation is being undertaken for the BFSI space is different as we do it for the traditional companies. So hence the BFSI's financial modeling valuations and the BFSI company's equity research report is included in the part of the curriculum as a separate predefined deep dive training sessions, right? Shelby is trying to understand how to project the company's financials, revenues, expenses, cash flows, how to prepare the depreciation schedules, amortization schedules, working capital schedules, right? Further, we'll try to understand how to prepare the financial modeling for loss-making companies. Because nowadays we see many loss-making companies come up with the IPOs. How do we try to value such companies based upon VCs and private equity valuation methods? So we shall be learning about more than 50 plus valuation multiples and methodologies. Usually when we talk about the company's valuation, we try to bifurcate that into the three types of methods. One is a DCF modeling, discounted cash flow method. Second one is the method of relative valuation, and third one is the options method. Right, so DCF method, discounted cash flow analysis, relative valuation method, popularly also called as the RV method, and the third method is what? The third method is the options method. And within those methods, you have multiple other methods. So we'll try to understand all those methods, try to understand all those valuation multiples, starting from the price to earning multiple, which can be misleading most of the times. Price to book value multiple, price earning growth, PEG multiple, EV to EBITDA, EV to sales, price to sales, right? CFO to capex, all these things we'll try to understand. Concepts of markets and the enterprise value in detail, sensitivity and scenario analysis is something that we'll try to understand. And then we'll try to understand how to value intangibles in the organization, like patents and copyrights and trademarks. How to value goodwill, right? The goodwill is more of an accounting parameter and not a financial parameter, not so useful in the valuation because my goodwill will not come into my balance sheet. My goodwill will come into some other person's balance sheet, right? Again, that's a problem, how to account for that, right? So all these things we'll try to understand. Monte Carlo simulations, geoscience factors in valuations for the metals, minerals, mining companies, all those kinds of aerospace companies, right? So we'll try to understand how geoscience can play an important factor in valuation of such companies, how we can plug those kind of variables which can help us to ascertain the valuation of such companies, because all these things we'll try to understand. Then the component comes in trying to understand scientific analysis. So in terms of scientific analysis, we shall be trying to understand business analytics or the statistical tools, like the principles of risk, including the standard deviation, variance, value at risk, VAR is a very important concept. Stress testing, hypothesis testing, correlation, regression, ANOVA testing, multivariate analysis, Z-score, Garch analysis, skewness, kurtosis, and much more. How a kurtosis can help us to create a portfolio. How different types of skewness or combining both the negative skewness and the positive skewness can help make our portfolio weather resistant against the different calamities or different economic cycles which the multiple global economies go through. So all these things we'll try to understand. And then the most important component that comes into place is portfolio management. So once we know that how to do fundamental analysis, technical analysis, how to analyze the company's financial statements, financial modeling valuation कैसे करनी, because ultimately we are doing financial modeling valuation for stock picking. So once we do that, how to create a portfolio, understanding the portfolio's fundamentals, risk and return analysis, equity portfolio, fixed income portfolio, alternatives portfolio. Many of the curriculums in the market just tell you how to create an equity portfolio. But we shall be guiding you and teaching you practically out of my experiences that how to build up a multi-asset portfolio using equity, fixed income, and alternatives. And further, we shall be trying to understand not only the equity asset class but the fixed income asset class as well. We shall be understanding the concepts of duration, convexity, yield curve, types of yield curve strategy, bear steepening, bull steepening, right? So all these things we'll try to understand from a CFA parameter, alternatives like private capital, the private credit, leverage buyouts, leverage loans, crossover credits, all these things we'll try to understand. Angel buying, right? All those concepts of capping and waterfall, right, in the private equity model. So all these things we'll try to understand. Concepts like CAPM, Pharma and French with single and multi-index models. We'll be learning about portfolio hedging, how to hedge our portfolio using derivatives, overlay strategies while managing duration through interest rate derivatives and swaps. How can we use overlay strategies to hedge our currency exposure if we have global portfolios, but also managing the duration of the fixed income in the portfolio via using bonds and debentures, via the interest rate derivatives and swaps. The portfolio's construction and the attribution, how the allocation effect, selection effect, interaction effect can help you break down the alpha in the portfolio. We shall learn about the complex financial instruments like the leveraged loans, private equity, private debt, distressed debt, crossover credit, and convertibles. We'll be learning about the spread strategies, time spread rotation, cash and carry arbitrage, reverse cash and carry arbitrage, and total return concept. It's all these things is something that we shall be learning about. Then the art of investing, growth style versus value style, when they do well, like we should combine them or not. Learn to take a bet upon the global markets, Graham number, Altman Z score, modified C score, Charlie Munger's mental models, and much more. Then we shall be learning about the Peter Lynch model, Ray Dalio's all-weather portfolios, the golden butterfly, and the pinwheel portfolio method. And then we go towards understanding towards using practical tools like advanced Excel. These are just some of the tools that we shall be using in Excel, but we shall be learning about superly advanced Excel, like the use of the VBAs and macros, power pivots, right? How to create dashboards in Excel, how to use financial Excel, right? So all these are the basic components. Then we shall be learning about Power BI and Tableau both. Because some companies tend to use Power BI because they have the paid license version of Power BI. But some companies tend to use Tableau because of the paid version of Tableau. Right? So we need to know both of these. How we can do actual hedging of the portfolio in an Excel. How can we use descriptive statistics in Excel? Power query, right? Then the benefit that you are getting is continuous placement training. So for the different profiles, right? You want to get placed into, or you might be a student into an MBA college, a BBA college, or you might be working into a corporate. You want to switch your profile. You get a job opportunity from some company, then we can prepare you for such type of companies exclusively via the one-on-one mentorship sessions. We also train you for different companies and different profiles as well, from an interview perspective, from a GD perspective, HR round perspective. Live projects will be a part of the curriculum to make you understand things practically. So we tend to get live projects from multiple top investment banking firms like JP Morgan or Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, right? What actually the people are doing in there as a part of their equity research or creation of the portfolios. We tend to get a replica studies for you to have a hands-on experience so that we can bridge the gap between the conceptual knowledge and theory knowledge in the practical world. So live project is something which is very critical. Being a part of our community, so you'll be part of our community or a WhatsApp group which has different students all over the globe, investment bankers and the other like-minded people. Industry-wide networking opportunities. We provide you opportunities to interact with industry people for jobs and different things, to connect with them, to learn with them. We tell you how to make a LinkedIn better, how to create your CVs, assistance in finance college projects. You might be undergoing some certain kind of finance projects in colleges during your BBA time or MBA time. So we can assist you for that. And placement assistance to dedicated students. So we have a certain criteria if you complete more than 75% of the modules, right? Not 75%, 100% of the modules, and you have an attendance of 75% in live lectures, which happens on weekends. on Saturdays and Sundays. You shall be eligible for placement support as well, right? So these are a few of the companies in which we have helped the students get placed. We have JP Morgan Chase, we have Barclays, we have Goldman Sachs, HSBC, Morgan Stanley, Kotak, BNP Paribas, KPMG, Bain and Company, Motilal, and many others. This is our certification. These are our contact details. And this is the way a curriculum is completely designed for. So one more thing I can guarantee you for that is this is all practical. It won't be just theory. We will not be working on complete hypothetical companies because in many of the programs, construction, financial modeling, valuation, portfolio analysis is being done on hypothetical numbers, hypothetical companies. Valuing a hypothetical company is very easy because there are no nuances. But when you value a realistic company which is listed on the stock exchanges, you understand management commentary, you try to understand the company's past financials and then project the company's financial revenues and cash flows. That is something that makes you better. So trying to understand things practically is something which is of utmost importance in our lens. So all the things, all the knowledge shall be provided to you practically. Live sessions on weekends and modules you can watch at your convenience. So it's a combination of both the things. We have more than 80 plus modules uploaded on the website, and these modules get updated on continuous basis. These are not the old modules. The modules that you find in 2019-20 have been replaced completely with new knowledge and new inputs, right? So that is something that we tend to provide. ठीक है? तो इस चीज के बेसिस पे द करिकुलम इट टेंड्स टू रिवॉल्व अराउंड वी हैव अ 2 hour live session on weekends, modules watch at your convenience, and of course we shall be happy to provide you a one-on-one mentorship session as well if you have any queries or doubts. Because the doubt sessions are unlimited. Also, one more thing, if you complete this batch and you want to join the subsequent batch once again to learn something new, because new batches come up with something new, because market tends to change continuously, right? You can join that batch by paying no extra fee. Also, we shall be keeping you updated with what's happening in the market globally in every economy and country. We share daily newsletters, daily videos from CNBC, from Z Business, NDTV Profit. We try to customize those. Those he selected videos we tend to share with you, which you can watch and learn from. Because multiple data is being published online, multiple articles and YouTube videos are there online, and we need to understand that which article, which YouTube video, and which content we need to absorb in to make ourselves better, right? So that is something which I'll be shared with you so that you can just read that customized content only, which will make you better. Okay, so that is something we need to understand. So it's all about the curriculum, a full pack by motivational monetary fundas or investment banking curriculums, full-fledged training, a full cohort or investment banking. The batches are open. The link is there in the description box, right? So stay tuned for all the recent updates, and I would really like if you could follow and subscribe us on YouTube as well for our continuous financial updates for the markets, for different curriculums and different electives that we tend to come up on a weekly basis. So see you soon in the curriculum. Thank you so much.